Marcus Thompson had always been particular about his weekend cabin nestled in the pine forests of northern Michigan. The rustic retreat served as his sanctuary from the demanding world of corporate law, where he spent 60-hour weeks navigating complex litigation cases. Every Friday evening, he would drive the 3 hours from Detroit to his slice of paradise, seeking solitude among the towering trees and crystal-clear lake waters. The cabin itself was modest but well-appointed, featuring 2 bedrooms, a stone fireplace, and a wraparound porch that offered breathtaking views of Lake Huron. Marcus had purchased the property 5 years earlier, following a particularly brutal divorce that had left him questioning everything he thought he knew about trust and human nature. The cabin represented a fresh start, a place where he could rebuild his sense of peace and purpose. However, maintaining the property proved more challenging than anticipated. Between his demanding career and the 3-hour commute, Marcus found himself struggling to keep the cabin in pristine condition. Dust accumulated on surfaces, leaves gathered on the porch, and the bathroom fixtures developed a persistent film that seemed to reappear weekly. He needed help, but finding reliable cleaning services in the remote area proved difficult. That's when he discovered Elena Rodriguez through a local Facebook community group. Her post was simple and professional: reliable house cleaning services available, reasonable rates, flexible schedule, excellent references. Several community members had commented positively about her work, praising her attention to detail and trustworthy nature. Marcus contacted her immediately, explaining his situation and specific needs. Elena arrived the following Saturday morning, driving a well-maintained but older Honda Civic. She appeared to be in her early 30s, with kind eyes and a warm smile that immediately put Marcus at ease. Her professional demeanor impressed him as she walked through the cabin, taking detailed notes about his preferences and expectations. She quoted a fair price of $150 per visit, with weekly cleanings scheduled for Saturday mornings. During their initial conversation, Elena mentioned she lived locally and had been providing cleaning services for several years to support her family. She spoke with genuine enthusiasm about her work, explaining how she took pride in creating comfortable, welcoming spaces for her clients. Marcus appreciated her thorough approach and attention to detail, qualities that reminded him of his own meticulous nature in legal work. The arrangement began seamlessly. Elena would arrive promptly at 9 o'clock each Saturday morning, equipped with her own supplies and a systematic approach that transformed the cabin into an immaculate retreat. She dusted every surface, cleaned windows until they sparkled, scrubbed bathrooms until they gleamed, and even organized items that Marcus had left scattered about. Her work exceeded his expectations consistently. Beyond her exceptional cleaning abilities, Elena demonstrated remarkable reliability. She never missed a scheduled appointment, always called if she was running late, and maintained consistent quality regardless of weather conditions or personal circumstances. Marcus found himself looking forward to arriving at the cabin each weekend, knowing it would be perfectly prepared for his relaxation and rejuvenation. The professional relationship continued smoothly for several months, with Marcus growing increasingly impressed by Alina's dedication and work ethic. Little did he know that his simple cleaning arrangement would soon reveal a story that would challenge his perceptions and ultimately change both their lives in ways neither could have imagined. As autumn painted the Michigan landscape in brilliant oranges and reds, Marcus developed a comfortable routine around Alina's weekly visits. He would typically arrive at the cabin Friday evening, enjoy a peaceful night by the fireplace, then wake Saturday morning to the sound of Alina's Honda pulling into the gravel driveway. Her punctuality had become as reliable as sunrise, and her work consistently exceeded professional standards. During their brief interactions, Marcus began noticing small details about Alina that spoke to her character. She always wore simple, practical clothing that allowed her to work efficiently, yet everything was clean and well-maintained despite obvious wear. Her cleaning supplies were organized in a systematic manner that reminded him of his own legal briefs. Everything had its place and purpose. She moved through the cabin with quiet confidence, transforming chaos into order with remarkable skill. Alina rarely engaged in extended conversation, maintaining professional boundaries while remaining friendly and approachable. However, Marcus occasionally caught glimpses of her personality during their brief exchanges. She had mentioned attending night school to improve her English skills, despite already speaking quite well. She also displayed an impressive knowledge of household maintenance, often pointing out minor issues like loose cabinet hinges or weather stripping that needed attention. One particularly cold October morning, Marcus noticed Alina shivering as she unloaded her supplies from the car. Her jacket appeared thin for the dropping temperatures, and she rubbed her hands together frequently while working. Concerned for her well-being, he offered her hot coffee and suggested she take breaks to warm up by the fireplace. Alina accepted the coffee gratefully, but insisted on maintaining her usual efficient pace, determined to complete her work to the highest standards. During this interaction, Marcus learned that Alina had been supporting herself and her family solely through cleaning services for the past 2 years. She spoke briefly about the challenges of running a small business, particularly during winter months when some clients reduced their service frequency. Despite these difficulties, she maintained an optimistic outlook and expressed genuine appreciation for clients like Marcus who treated her with respect and provided steady work. The conversation revealed Alina's strong work ethic and determination to succeed despite obvious financial constraints. She mentioned saving money to eventually expand her cleaning business, perhaps hearing additional help to serve more clients throughout the rural community. Her entrepreneurial spirit impressed Marcus, reminding him of his own early career struggles when he was building his legal practice from scratch. As weeks passed, Marcus found himself genuinely concerned about Alina's well-being during the increasingly harsh Michigan winter. Her car occasionally struggled to start in the frigid temperatures, and she sometimes arrived with red, chapped hands despite wearing gloves. He began leaving extra coffee prepared and even purchased a space heater for the cabin's main room, claiming it was for his own comfort while secretly hoping it would help Alina stay warm during her work. The professional relationship had evolved into something approaching friendship, built on mutual respect and genuine care. Marcus admired Alina's dedication and resilience, while Alina appreciated having a client who treated her as a valuable professional rather than invisible help. Neither realized that their simple arrangement would soon be tested by circumstances that would reveal the true depth of Alina's daily struggles and Marcus's capacity for compassion. November brought the first serious snowfall to northern Michigan, transforming the landscape into a winter wonderland that made Marcus's weekend retreats even more magical. However, the harsh weather also highlighted the challenges faced by those less fortunate, particularly Alina, who continued her weekly visits despite increasingly difficult driving conditions. One snowy Saturday morning, Alina arrived nearly an hour late, her Honda fishtailing slightly as she navigated the icy driveway. Marcus watched from the window, concerned about her safety on the treacherous roads. When she knocked on the door, her cheeks were flushed from cold, and she apologized profusely for her tardiness, explaining that her car had struggled with traction on several hills leading to the cabin. Despite the challenging conditions, Alina insisted on completing her full cleaning routine. Marcus observed her working with the same meticulous attention to detail, though he noticed her hands trembling slightly from the cold. Her dedication impressed him greatly. Many people would have canceled or rushed through the work under such circumstances, but Alina maintained her professional standards regardless of personal discomfort. During her lunch break, Marcus invited Alina to sit by the fireplace and warm up with hot soup he had prepared. As they sat together, sharing a simple meal, Alina opened up slightly about her background. She had immigrated to the United States 6 years earlier, seeking better opportunities for her family. The cleaning business represented her primary source of income, and she took tremendous pride in providing excellent service to establish a positive reputation in the community. Alina mentioned that winter months were particularly challenging because many clients reduced their service frequency or suspended cleaning altogether during the holidays. This seasonal reduction in income created significant stress, especially with heating costs rising and her car requiring expensive winter maintenance. Despite these challenges, she remained optimistic about the future and grateful for clients like Marcus who provided consistent work year-round. The conversation revealed Alina's intelligence and determination. She spoke about her long-term goals, including improving her English skills, obtaining business certifications, and eventually expanding her services to include more comprehensive household management. Her vision extended beyond simple cleaning. She wanted to build a legitimate business that could provide stable income and perhaps even employ others in similar situations. Marcus found himself deeply impressed by Alina's resilience and ambition. Her story reminded him of his own immigrant grandparents, who had arrived in America with nothing but determination and work ethic. They had built successful lives through similar dedication and perseverance, eventually creating opportunities for future generations. Alina's journey reflected the same spirit that had built countless American success stories. As the afternoon progressed, Marcus began viewing Alina not just as his cleaning lady, but as a fellow entrepreneur facing challenges he could understand and respect. Her struggles with seasonal income fluctuations, equipment maintenance, and client retention mirrored many of the obstacles he had faced while building his legal practice. The parallel experiences created an unexpected connection that transcended their professional relationship. When Alina prepared to leave that evening, Marcus found himself genuinely worried about her safety on the icy roads. He insisted she text him when she arrived home safely, explaining that he would worry unnecessarily if he didn't know she had made it back without incident. December arrived with a vengeance, bringing the heaviest snowfall northern Michigan had seen in years. The weather created a winter wonderland that Marcus found breathtaking from the warmth of his cabin, but he couldn't help worrying about Alina's weekly journey through increasingly treacherous conditions. Her old Honda, while reliable, clearly struggled with the deep snow and ice-covered roads leading to his remote property. On the second Saturday of December, Alina arrived looking particularly worn down. Her usual bright demeanor seemed subdued, and Marcus noticed dark circles under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and mounting stress. When he asked if everything was all right, she smiled weakly and assured him that she was fine, just tired from the busy holiday season. However, her forced cheerfulness couldn't hide the obvious signs of someone carrying a heavy burden. During her cleaning routine, Marcus observed Alina working with the same meticulous care, but her movements seemed slower and more deliberate than usual. She took several brief breaks to rest against the wall, claiming she was simply catching her breath in the dry cabin air. Her attempts to maintain normalcy were admirable, but unconvincing to someone as observant as Marcus. While Alina cleaned the bathroom, Marcus noticed her phone buzzing repeatedly with incoming calls. Each time, she would glance at the screen with a worried expression before declining the call and returning to work. The frequency and her reaction to these interruptions suggested they were more than simple telemarketing calls. Someone needed her attention urgently, but she was prioritizing her professional obligations. Finally, after the phone rang for the sixth time in an hour, Marcus gently insisted that Alina answer the call. She reluctantly agreed, stepping onto the porch for privacy. Through the window, Marcus could see her animated conversation, her free hand gesturing expressively as she spoke rapidly in Spanish. Her body language conveyed urgency and concern, confirming his suspicion that something serious was happening. When Alina returned inside, her eyes were red-rimmed, though she tried to hide her distress by immediately resuming her cleaning activities. Marcus approached her carefully, offering a cup of hot tea and expressing genuine concern for her well-being. He explained that her distress was obvious and that he would rather she address whatever was troubling her than worry about cleaning his cabin. Alina's composure finally cracked under the weight of Marcus's kindness. She explained that her youngest child had developed a fever during the night, and her teenage daughter had been calling with updates throughout the morning. Without reliable childcare options, her older children often looked after the younger ones while she worked, but managing a sick child while she was hours away created enormous stress and guilt. The revelation opened a window into Alina's daily reality that Marcus had never considered. She wasn't just a dedicated cleaning professional. She was a mother juggling multiple responsibilities, managing a household, and providing care for her family while maintaining the professional commitments that kept them financially stable. The weight of her responsibilities suddenly became clear, and Marcus felt ashamed for not recognizing the signs earlier. Alina apologized repeatedly for bringing personal problems to work, insisting that she could complete the cleaning despite her distraction. Marcus firmly but kindly refused, explaining that no amount of cleaning was worth her peace of mind regarding her child's health. He insisted she leave immediately to care for her family, assuring her that she would receive full payment for the interrupted visit. The gesture seemed to surprise Alina, who apparently wasn't accustomed to such understanding from employers. Her gratitude was genuine and touching, reinforcing Marcus's growing realization that Alina's story was far more complex than he had understood. Alina's early departure that December morning left Marcus with an unexpected afternoon of solitude, but his thoughts remained focused on her situation. The brief glimpse into her life as a working mother managing multiple responsibilities while maintaining professional obligations had struck a chord with him. He found himself wondering about her children, their ages, their health, and the daily challenges Alina faced that he had never considered. The following week, Alina returned to her regular schedule, but Marcus noticed subtle changes in her demeanor. She seemed more relaxed during their brief interactions, and when he inquired about her sick child, her face lit up with relief as she reported that the fever had broken and recovery was complete. However, the incident had clearly affected her, and she expressed renewed appreciation for Marcus's understanding and flexibility during the family emergency. During their conversation, Alina shared more details about her children, describing them with obvious pride and love. She had 5 children ranging in age from 6 to 16, each with distinct personalities and interests. Her eldest, a daughter named Isabella, was an honor student who helped manage the household while Alina worked. The younger children included twin boys who were 8 years old and full of energy, a 12-year-old daughter who loved reading, and the youngest, a 6-year-old boy who had been the sick child from the previous week. Marcus listened with growing admiration as Alina described the daily logistics of managing such a large family while running her cleaning business. She woke at 5 each morning to prepare breakfast and ensure everyone was ready for school before beginning her workday. Evenings were spent helping with homework, preparing dinner, and managing household responsibilities. Her days were filled with constant activity and responsibility, yet she approached everything with remarkable grace and determination. The conversation revealed the financial pressures Alina faced as a single mother supporting 5 children. Every dollar earned through her cleaning business was carefully allocated to rent, utilities, groceries, and school supplies. There was little room for unexpected expenses or emergencies, which explained her dedication to maintaining consistent work schedules regardless of personal challenges. Missing even one day of work could create a cascade of financial difficulties. Alina mentioned that the approaching holiday season brought additional stress beyond the typical seasonal reduction in cleaning clients. The children naturally hoped for Christmas presents, but her tight budget made gift-giving challenging. She had been setting aside small amounts when possible, but the recent car repairs and increased heating costs had consumed most of her holiday savings. Despite these pressures, she maintained an optimistic outlook and focused on providing love and stability for her family. Marcus found himself deeply moved by Alina's story and her resilience in the face of overwhelming challenges. Her situation reminded him of his own childhood, when his single mother had worked multiple jobs to provide for him and his sister. He remembered the sacrifices she had made, the long hours she had worked, and the quiet dignity with which she had faced financial hardship. Alina embodied the same strength and determination that had carried his family through difficult times. As Alina prepared to leave that day, Marcus found himself wanting to do something meaningful to help her situation. However, he also recognized the importance of maintaining her dignity and avoiding any gesture that might seem patronizing or charity-based. Alina was a proud, hard-working professional who deserved respect and recognition for her contributions, not pity or handouts that might undermine her self-worth. The challenge was finding a way to provide assistance that would be both meaningful and respectful, honoring Alina's independence while acknowledging the genuine need her family faced during the difficult holiday season. The third week of December brought a particularly harsh snowstorm that closed roads throughout northern Michigan. Marcus watched the weather reports with growing concern, knowing that Alina would attempt to make the journey to his cabin despite the dangerous conditions. Her dedication to maintaining her work schedule, while admirable, often put her at risk during severe weather events. As expected, Alina's Honda appeared in his driveway Saturday morning, covered in snow and ice from the treacherous journey. When she knocked on the door, Marcus could see the exhaustion in her face from fighting the winter roads for over an hour. Her hands were shaking from cold and tension, and she apologized for arriving 15 minutes late due to a minor slide that had required careful maneuvering to avoid the ditch. Marcus immediately insisted that Alina warm up by the fireplace before beginning any work. He prepared hot coffee and expressed serious concern about her safety on such dangerous roads. Alina appreciated his concern, but explained that she couldn't afford to cancel work due to weather, especially during the financially challenging holiday season, when every dollar was crucial for her family's well-being. During their conversation, Alina mentioned that her car had been sliding frequently on the icy roads, and she was concerned about the worn tire's ability to handle winter conditions safely. The cost of new tires was prohibitive given her current financial situation, but she recognized that continuing to drive on inadequate tires was dangerous for both herself and other drivers. The dilemma represented the type of impossible choice that defined her daily reality. As Alina worked through the cabin, Marcus found himself paying closer attention to the details of her situation. Her jacket was clearly insufficient for the harsh winter weather, and her gloves were worn thin from constant use. Her boots, while functional, showed significant wear and provided questionable traction on icy surfaces. These observations painted a picture of someone making do with inadequate resources while maintaining professional standards. The phone calls that had interrupted her work the previous week resumed, and Alina once again declined each call while maintaining focus on her cleaning responsibilities. Marcus eventually convinced her to answer, expressing concern that her family might need her for something important. The brief Spanish conversation that followed revealed ongoing childcare challenges related to the severe weather and school closures. When Alina finished the call, she explained that her teenage daughter was managing the younger children during the snow day, but the situation was stressful for everyone. The house was cold because they were trying to conserve heating costs, and the children were getting restless from being confined indoors. Her absence during the day meant missing opportunities to provide comfort and supervision during an already difficult time. Marcus suggested that Alina consider cutting her visit short to return to her family, but she insisted on completing her full cleaning routine. She explained that providing excellent service was essential for maintaining her reputation and securing consistent work. However, Her distraction was obvious, and Marcus could see the internal conflict between her professional obligations and maternal instincts. The conversation that followed revealed more about Alina's daily challenges and the constant balancing act she performed between work and family responsibilities. She spoke about the guilt she felt leaving her children, especially during difficult weather, but also about the necessity of maintaining income to provide for their basic needs. The emotional toll of these competing priorities was evident in her voice and demeanor. As the day progressed, Marcus began formulating a plan that might help Alina's situation while respecting her dignity and independence. The idea was complex and would require careful consideration to ensure it provided meaningful assistance without creating awkwardness or undermining their professional relationship. However, the more he learned about Alina's circumstances, the more determined he became to find a way to help. Christmas week arrived with unseasonably warm weather that melted much of the accumulated snow, creating muddy conditions that were almost as challenging as ice for Alina's aging Honda. Marcus noticed that her car was making unusual noises as she pulled into the driveway, and steam was rising from under the hood when she turned off the engine. The vehicle's deteriorating condition was becoming a serious concern for her safety and livelihood. Alina emerged from the car looking worried and frustrated, immediately popping the hood to investigate the source of the steam. Marcus approached to offer assistance, and together they discovered that the radiator was leaking coolant, creating a potentially dangerous situation if the engine overheated during her drive home. The repair would be expensive and time-consuming, creating both financial and logistical challenges during the busy holiday season. The car trouble represented more than just an inconvenience for Alina. It threatened her ability to reach clients and maintain the income her family depended upon. Without reliable transportation, she couldn't continue her cleaning business, and the cost of repairs would consume funds she had allocated for Christmas gifts and holiday expenses. The stress of the situation was evident in her voice as she called her mechanic to discuss options. After a lengthy conversation with the mechanic, Alina learned that the repair would cost nearly $400 and take several days to complete. The garage was closed until after Christmas, meaning her car would be out of commission during a time when many clients wanted pre-holiday cleaning services. The timing couldn't have been worse for someone whose financial stability depended on consistent work. Marcus watched Alina's growing distress with genuine concern and a developing sense of determination to help. He offered to drive her home after completing the cleaning, ensuring she wouldn't be stranded at his remote cabin. Alina accepted gratefully, though she worried about how she would manage her other clients' needs without transportation. The practical implications of her situation were overwhelming. During the drive to Alina's house, Marcus learned more about her living situation and the challenges she faced as a single mother in a rural community. She lived in a small rental house on the outskirts of town, where housing was more affordable, but transportation was essential for work and daily activities. The isolation that provided lower rent costs also created dependencies on reliable vehicles that she could barely afford to maintain. As they drove through Alina's neighborhood, Marcus observed the modest homes and well-maintained yards that spoke to residents' pride despite limited resources. Alina pointed out her house, a small but tidy two-story structure with a small front yard, an older sedan parked in the driveway. The property appeared well cared for despite obvious age and wear, reflecting Alina's commitment to maintaining standards regardless of financial constraints. When they pulled into Alina's driveway, Marcus was surprised to see several children's faces appearing in the front window, clearly excited about their mother's unexpected early return. Alina's face lit up at the sight of her children, and she quickly gathered her cleaning supplies while thanking Marcus repeatedly for his kindness and assistance. Her transformation from worried professional to loving mother was immediate and touching. As Alina walked toward her front door, surrounded by excited children eager to share their day's activities, Marcus remained in his car for a moment, processing what he had observed. The modest house, the old cars, the children's obvious joy at their mother's return. All of it painted a picture of a family making the best of limited resources while maintaining love, dignity, and hope. The experience had given Marcus a deeper understanding of Alina's daily reality and strengthened his resolve to find meaningful ways to help. However, he also recognized the importance of approaching any assistance with sensitivity and respect for Alina's independence and pride. The day after Christmas, Marcus found himself unable to stop thinking about Alina's situation. The holiday had been quiet and peaceful at his cabin, but his thoughts kept returning to Alina's family and the challenges they were facing. He imagined them celebrating Christmas morning in their modest home, making the best of limited resources while maintaining the joy and traditions that make holidays special for children. Marcus decided to drive past Alina's neighborhood, telling himself he was simply exploring the area, but knowing deep down that his curiosity about her family's circumstances was driving his decision. The route took him through several residential areas where Christmas decorations still adorned homes and children played in yards with new toys and games received as gifts. When he reached Alina's street, Marcus slowed his car and observed the neighborhood more carefully than during his previous visit. The houses were older and smaller than in more affluent areas, but most showed signs of care and pride in ownership. Alina's house stood out for its particularly well-maintained appearance, with a small but neat yard and Christmas lights strung carefully around the front porch. As Marcus drove slowly past Alina's house, he noticed unusual activity that made him pause. Several children were playing in the front yard, and he could see Alina hanging laundry on a line in the backyard despite the cold December weather. The scene struck him as odd. Why would someone be doing laundry outside in winter when most homes had indoor dryers? Curiosity compelled Marcus to park across the street and observe more carefully. Through the windows of Alina's house, he could see more children inside, and the activity level suggested a much larger household than he had imagined. Alina had mentioned having 5 children, but the number of young faces he glimpsed suggested there might be more people living in the small house. As Marcus watched, Alina emerged from the backyard carrying a laundry basket, her movements efficient and purposeful despite the cold weather. She was wearing the same thin jacket he had seen her wear to work, and her breath was visible in the frigid air as she supervised the children playing outside. Her dedication to maintaining household routines regardless of weather conditions impressed him once again. The observation session revealed several concerning details about Alina's living situation. The house appeared to be heated inadequately, as evidenced by the children wearing heavy coats while playing indoors. The outdoor laundry line suggested either a broken dryer or an attempt to save money on electricity costs. The number of children visible exceeded what Marcus had expected, raising questions about the household composition. When Alina noticed Marcus's car parked across the street, she waved friendly and approached to see if he needed directions or assistance. Her natural helpfulness and lack of suspicion about his presence in her neighborhood reflected her trusting nature and genuine desire to help others. Marcus felt slightly embarrassed about his obvious surveillance, but decided to be honest about his concern for her welfare. Alina invited Marcus inside for coffee, eager to show appreciation for his help with transportation the previous day. As they walked toward the house, Marcus noticed that the front porch needed repairs, and the windows were covered with plastic sheeting to improve insulation. These details painted a picture of a family doing everything possible to maintain their home while working with limited resources. The invitation to enter Alina's home would provide Marcus with a complete understanding of her family's circumstances and the extent of the challenges they face daily. However, he also recognized that crossing the threshold from professional acquaintance to personal friend would change the nature of their relationship and potentially create new responsibilities and obligations. As they approached the front door, Marcus could hear the sounds of children's voices and activity inside, creating a warm contrast to the cold winter day. The decision to accept Alina's invitation would mark a turning point in their relationship and his understanding of her life. Stepping across the threshold of Alina's home, Marcus was immediately struck by the warmth and love that filled the modest space despite obvious financial constraints. The house was small but impeccably clean, with furniture that was clearly second-hand but well-maintained and arranged to create a welcoming atmosphere. Children's artwork decorated the walls, and family photographs showed smiling faces that reflected genuine happiness despite material limitations. Alina introduced Marcus to her children, each of whom greeted him politely and with genuine curiosity about their mother's employer. Isabella, the 16-year-old, was clearly the second in command, helping manage the younger children with mature responsibility that spoke to her crucial role in the family's daily functioning. The twins, Miguel and Carlos, were energetic 8-year-olds who immediately began showing Marcus their Christmas toys with infectious enthusiasm. Sophia, the 12-year-old, was quieter but equally welcoming, offering to help her mother prepare coffee for their unexpected guest. The youngest, David, who had been the sick child from the previous month, clung shyly to Alina's leg while studying Marcus with wide, intelligent eyes. The children's behavior reflected excellent parenting and strong family values despite the challenges their mother faced as a single parent. As Alina prepared coffee in the small but organized kitchen, Marcus noticed additional details that revealed the family's resourcefulness and Alina's incredible management skills. The refrigerator was covered with school schedules, appointment reminders, and achievement certificates, showing Alina's dedication to staying involved in her children's education despite her demanding work schedule. Every inch of space was utilized efficiently, with storage solutions that maximized functionality. The living room served multiple purposes, with homework areas, play spaces, and seating arrangements that could accommodate the large family's various activities. Despite the cramped conditions, everything had its place, and the children clearly understood the importance of maintaining order and cleanliness. Their behavior reflected the same high standards Alina brought to her professional work. During the coffee conversation, Marcus learned that Alina's household actually included more than just her 5 children. Her elderly mother, who spoke limited English, lived with them and helped with childcare while Alina worked. Additionally, Alina's sister and her 2 young children had been staying with them for the past few months following a divorce, creating a household of 10 people living in the small 3-bedroom house. The revelation explained many of the challenges Marcus had observed: the frequent phone calls during work, the outdoor laundry line, the concerns about heating costs, and the general stress Alina carried constantly. Supporting 10 people on the income from a small cleaning business was an enormous challenge that few people could manage, yet Alina was doing it with grace and determination. Alina's mother prepared a simple lunch for everyone, insisting that Marcus stay to eat with the family. The meal was modest but delicious, featuring traditional recipes that filled the house with wonderful aromas and brought everyone together around the small dining table. The experience of sharing a meal with Alina's extended family provided Marcus with insights into their culture, values, and the love that bound them together. The children's interaction with their grandmother and aunt showed the strong family bonds that provided emotional support despite financial hardship. Multiple generations working together to care for the children and maintain the household created a network of love and responsibility that was both inspiring and humbling to witness. Elena's role as the primary breadwinner carried enormous pressure, but she was not carrying the burden alone. As the afternoon progressed, Marcus gained a complete understanding of Elena's daily reality and the scope of her responsibilities. The visit had transformed his perception of her from a dedicated cleaning professional to a remarkable woman, managing an incredibly complex and challenging situation with strength, dignity, and unwavering love for her family. The afternoon spent with Elena's family left Marcus with a profound understanding of the challenges they faced and a deep admiration for Elena's incredible strength and resourcefulness. As he drove back to his cabin that evening, his comfortable solitude felt different, almost hollow compared to the warmth and vitality he had experienced in Elena's crowded but loving home. The contrast between his spacious retreat and their cramped living conditions was stark and troubling. Over the following days, Marcus found himself constantly thinking about Elena's family and the daily struggles they managed with such grace and dignity. The image of 10 people sharing a small house while maintaining cleanliness, order, and obvious love for each other challenged his assumptions about what constituted a successful, happy family. Despite their financial limitations, Elena's household radiated warmth and connection that his own life sometimes lacked. The more Marcus reflected on Elena's situation, the more he realized that her weekly cleaning visits to his cabin represented just a small fraction of her total responsibilities and challenges. She was simultaneously running a business, raising 5 children, caring for an elderly mother, supporting her divorced sister and 2 additional children, and maintaining a household that functioned smoothly despite overwhelming odds. Her accomplishments were remarkable by any standard. Marcus began researching ways he could provide meaningful assistance to Elena's family without compromising her dignity or creating awkwardness in their professional relationship. The challenge was finding approaches that would be genuinely helpful while respecting Elena's pride and independence. She had never asked for charity or complained about her circumstances, and any assistance would need to be offered carefully and thoughtfully. The first step was considering how to address the immediate practical challenges Elena faced, particularly her car troubles and the resulting threats to her livelihood. Without reliable transportation, she couldn't maintain her cleaning business, and the ripple effects would impact her entire extended family's well-being. The car repair costs were manageable for someone with Marcus's income, but devastating for someone in Elena's financial position. Marcus also considered the broader challenges facing Alina's household: the inadequate heating, the overcrowded living conditions, the financial stress of supporting 10 people on limited income, and the long-term implications for the children's education and opportunities. Each issue was complex and interconnected, requiring careful thought about how to provide help that would create lasting positive change rather than temporary relief. The legal training that had made Marcus successful in his career proved valuable in analyzing Alina's situation systematically and developing strategies that could address multiple challenges simultaneously. He began researching community resources, educational opportunities, and business development programs that might benefit Alina and her family. The goal was creating a comprehensive approach that could improve their circumstances sustainably. However, Marcus also recognized that any assistance would need to begin with honest conversations with Alina about her goals, priorities, and comfort level with accepting help. Her dignity and autonomy were paramount, and she would need to be a full partner in any efforts to improve her family's situation. The relationship between them would need to evolve carefully to maintain mutual respect and trust. As Marcus planned his approach, he reflected on his own motivations and the unexpected ways that Alina's story had affected him. Her resilience and dedication had reminded him of values and principles that sometimes got lost in the comfortable routines of his successful but solitary life. Helping Alina's family would be meaningful for them, but it might also restore something important in his own life. The challenge ahead was complex and would require patience, sensitivity, and genuine commitment to Alina's well-being and independence. However, Marcus felt more motivated and purposeful than he had in years, energized by the opportunity to make a real difference in the lives of people who had earned his respect and admiration through their strength and character. New Year's Day arrived with a fresh snowfall that blanketed northern Michigan in pristine white, creating a perfect backdrop for Marcus's resolution to help Alina's family in meaningful ways. He had spent the holiday week developing a comprehensive plan that would address their immediate needs while respecting Alina's dignity and independence. The approach required careful timing and presentation to ensure Alina would be comfortable accepting assistance. Marcus's first priority was addressing Alina's transportation crisis, which threatened her livelihood and ability to support her extended family. He researched local mechanics and found a reputable shop that could complete the necessary repairs quickly and professionally. However, simply paying for the repairs directly would likely embarrass Alina and could damage their relationship. A more subtle approach was needed. The solution came through Marcus's legal network, where he learned about a local nonprofit organization that provided emergency assistance to working families facing temporary crises. The program offered interest-free loans for essential repairs, with flexible repayment terms that allowed recipients to maintain their dignity while receiving needed help. Marcus contacted the organization and arranged for Alina to receive information about their services. Simultaneously, Marcus researched Alina's business situation and identified opportunities for legitimate expansion that could increase her income sustainably. His cabin was part of a larger community of weekend property owners who might need cleaning services, and many of these potential clients had the financial resources to pay premium rates for reliable, professional service. Creating connections between Alina and additional clients could dramatically improve her financial stability. Marcus also investigated educational opportunities that might benefit Alina and her older children. The local community college offered English as a second language classes, business development courses, and vocational training programs with flexible scheduling for working adults. Isabella, Alina's 16-year-old daughter, was clearly college material, and scholarship opportunities might make higher education accessible despite the family's financial constraints. The housing situation presented more complex challenges, as Alina's rental home was inadequate for 10 people, but moving costs and security deposits were prohibitive. However, Marcus discovered that the city had recently approved a new affordable housing development specifically designed for working families, with applications being accepted for occupancy later in the year. The information could be valuable for Alina's long-term planning. To implement his assistance plan effectively, Marcus decided to begin with the most immediate need, Alina's car repairs, and then gradually introduce other opportunities as their relationship evolved. The key was presenting each option as information rather than charity, allowing Alina to make her own decisions about what help to accept and how to utilize the resources available. Marcus scheduled a meeting with Alina for the first Saturday of the new year, planning to discuss her car situation and introduce the nonprofit loan program as a potential solution. The conversation would be delicate, requiring sensitivity to Alina's pride while emphasizing the practical benefits of the assistance. Success would depend on framing the help as investment in her business rather than charity for her family. The broader plan included introducing Alina to potential new clients gradually, starting with Marcus's closest neighbors who had expressed interest in cleaning services. These referrals would come naturally through conversation rather than formal recommendations, allowing Alina to build her client base through her own merit and professionalism. The approach would create sustainable income growth without compromising her independence.